Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. And today's coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, the Tigrayan Defense Forces continue its advance westward along the B-22 highway. So again, after seizing control and retaking Gashina, after the unsuccessful offensive operations by the forces loyal to the Abiy regime, attempted to force its way towards Weldia along the B-22 highway, and after suffering significant losses, that is when, again, the Tigrayan army went on the offensive and resumed its control over Lalibela, Gashina, Filakit, and now are continuing to push down the B-22 highway towards the next target of opportunity, and that would appear to be Debre Tabor. So the question is the Tigrayan army going to continue past Debre Tabor and look to seize control of Nifas Micha and other areas to the west, and quite possibly again look to renew its threatening posture towards the A3 highway and severing the A3 highway that runs from Gondar to Bahir Dar. But again, because of the defeats that were suffered by the Abiy loyalists, by the Amhara regional militias and paramilitary Fano units near and around Gashina, Lalibela, those forces have now are on a retreat again west towards Debre Tabor as the Tigrayan Defense Forces continue to move west. Again, we have also reported in a previous video that some of the better units within the Tigrayan army, the Tigrayan Defense Forces, are being deployed in a westerly direction west of Gashina and are continuing to advance along the B-22 highway and both north and south of the B-22 highway as well. We had talked about that the seizure of Debre Tabor would be significant. Obviously, it was already taken by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, but if it's retaken again, I would suspect that fairly significant defensive measures would be put in place as the defense of Debre Tabor is probably the best defensive opportunity to possibly forestall any form of renewed offensive operations by Amhara regional militias. And as you can see, I'm zooming in fairly close to the area near Debre Tabor, and defending Debre Tabor from an attack from the east is fairly difficult. Now, with that being said, defending Debre Tabor from an attack from the west again would be fairly easy for the Tigrayan defense. It's very difficult to maneuver along the B-22 highway up these mountain facades and have the ability to continue to advance given the type of terrain that exists in these areas. But again, some fairly significant and more of the elite units of the TDF are moving the B-22, quite possibly looking to progress past Debre Tabor, possibly creating an environment where we're looking at the actual seizure of other more significant areas towards the west of said area of operations. But again, that is the current status on western area of operations near Gashina and other areas. We're also seeing the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, the militias, the Amhara militias that have installed south of Mersa, now well south of Mersa, and those forces are no longer attempting to advance. Again, we're hearing that they've moved past their drone umbrella, and they're possibly looking at trying to move some of these drone command and control stations further north, where they can continue to operate some of these drone systems that have proved so significant in installing the Tigrayan Defense Forces move on Addis Ababa. And again, those drone systems are operating to the southeast of the capital, Addis Ababa, and obviously would need to be moved to the northeast if they wish to continue those operations, especially if they're utilizing the TB2 drone. So again, drones move very slowly while they're in the air. The TB2 drone, ideally, you want to stay within 100 miles of its command and control station. And I'll just kind of show you on a map here again the distance that these drones operate, and you can see clearly that in terms of the TB2, the optimal distance from its operation southeast of Addis Ababa was where it proved most useful, and that was northeast of Debre Tabor, in and around Shia Robot and Atai. So again, that's pretty much the maximum combat radius of the TB2 drone. Now, with that being said, they're also utilizing the Wingloon 2. There has been some question about its capabilities in terms of its reliability in maintaining effective data where it can continue to be used. Again, the TB2 has much greater range. But again, there has been some issues, some technical difficulties with maintaining that drone in an operational state and effectively utilizing it where the ground controller can visually see what they are actually targeting on the ground. So that's what is occurring right now. There's a possibility they could move the drone, the TB2 drone command and control station to Kombolcha, and that would give them obviously another 100-mile distance to the north of Kombolcha to operate. Now, the problem with this is the Abiy loyalists are not 100% sure that the A2 highway, especially in and around Komise, is safe to transport some of these drone units and the drone control stations. And again, they're concerned that if word is sent out that these control stations are being moved via the A2 highway, you could see some activity by the Oromo Liberation Army, possible deep infiltration units by the Tigrayan Defense Forces to engage and destroy those drone command and control stations as they're being redeployed near Kombolcha. But again, it would appear that at least the Abiy loyalists, the Amhara regional militias, are no longer wanting to progress north. They've sustained tremendous casualties in their attempts to proceed and attack near Mursa. Again, they ran into some fairly fortified positions of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. The Tigrayan Defense Forces launched several ambushes of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, of the Abiy loyalists, of the Amhara regional militias, as it attempted to press forward along the A2 highway, and they suffered some fairly significant losses. But again, it looks like right now, at least the Abiy loyalists are no longer trying to press north because of the level of resistance that they are now running into. And I had talked about it before. It would probably be the greatest opportunity for the Tigrayan Defense Forces to set up defensive operations near Weldia, south of Weldia, west of Weldia, east of Weldia, given the terrain. Now, could we possibly see a renewed counterattack within the vicinity of Weldia and south of Weldia? I am currently unsure at this point. I am receiving information that would indicate there is planning underway. Now, is there going to be an operation south of Weldia? I don't know. But again, there does appear to be some sort of operation, a very significant operation in the planning, and that could be along the B-22 highway with some of those better units that are pressing west. We're also keeping a very close eye along the B-30 highway. We're also looking at the vicinity of Debark and some other areas to the north of Gondar, and then obviously we're watching western Tigray as well. The Tigrayan Defense Forces continue to maintain a very, very significant and robust fighting force in excess of 200,000 personnel, and they are probably going to use those personnel at some point to continue operations, especially in terms of forcing the Abiy loyalists out of Western Tigray, possibly by launching operations in other places to get them to eventually leave Western Tigray, possibly through negotiated settlement. Now, with the combat operations being reported on, I also wanted to talk about some of the activities that are going on inside of Addis Ababa, also known as Finfinne. We continue to see the Abiy regime cracking down on any and all opposition. So if you are not an Abiy loyalist, then it would appear that you are now being identified as a member of the TPLF, even though quite possibly you're not a member of the TPLF, nor have ever been affiliated with the TPLF or the Tigray region. But again, it's the concept, if you're not with us, you are against us. And that is what we are seeing in terms of journalists being arrested and incarcerated without trial, without due process, and are just quite literally disappearing. And that is the hallmarks of a despotic regime. That is the hallmark and the operational method of Isaias Afwerki of Eritrea. And we're now seeing many of those same methods that have been used successfully by Isaias Afwerki to rule over Eritrea with an iron hand, and we're now seeing that by Abiy Ahmed, the warlord who now controls the former state of Ethiopia, the city-state of Addis Ababa, and its allies of the regional Amhara militia groups as well. But again, it is not a good picture. It is not a good optic in terms of what is going on in terms of the suppression of any sort of dissent, any sort of opposition to the Abiy regime, to the unitary one-party system of the so-called Prosperity Party. But again, we're going to continue to monitor and report the situation. We're also getting information in terms of on the combat aspect of the civil war that is occurring inside of the former state of Ethiopia, is operations by the Oromo Liberation Army. They are very much active and continue to conduct operations in and around the Oromia region and other areas as well within the former state of Ethiopia. And then those operations obviously are now starting to pick up. We had seen a temporary lull. We had also seen the use of even those drones against targets of the Oromo Liberation Army and Oromo dissident groups in Oromia. But right now we are hearing some battlefield successes of the Oromo Liberation Army and groups that have rebelled against the Abiy loyalists, against the Prosperity Party. And we're attempting to ascertain more information on some of that activity that is coming in at quite literally as we speak in terms of ongoing operations by the OLA. But that is the report for today. We will soon have more information that is coming in. We're watching very closely the operations of the Tigrayan Defense Forces as they push west along the B-22 highway towards Debre Tabor and possibly places beyond Debre Tabor. But again, more to come very soon, and have a great day, everybody.